Hi, my name is Geno Harris, and I am an abstract artist, and primarily my medium is paper. I have been doing art since 2003, after initially getting a job at the Detroit DIA, downtown Detroit. Um, it was initially out of inspiration and trying to find a way to beautify my living space that I had just moved into. I saw some things on a couple of TV programs that helped inspire me. There was a fairly well-known interior designer that was doing a paper treatment to a wall, and I thought, how could I transform that into individual pieces of art? So I went to the local art store, grabbed up a bunch of decorative paper, and just jumped in with no training or forethought. I just, jumped in and tried to do what I could do. And as a result of that, 20 years later, the technical term would be abstract expressionist. Art for me has gone through several stages. Again, like I said, initially it was to beautify my surroundings, but later on in life it became therapy. I found myself dealing with kidney failure, and it was a way to keep my sanity. It helped me a great deal. At the onset of doing the art, I found it a bit hard for self-taught artists like myself to break into the art community, to be a part of exhibitions and things of that nature, because I didn't go to school, didn't have awards, that I assumed was necessary to be a part of these exhibitions. So what I did is I created a collective with my partner at the time called Poor Man's Art Collective, which was specifically geared to supporting emerging and self-taught artists with a platform. So what we did, we found empty spaces, rented them out, cleaned them up, and had pop-up galleries. And we did that for a number of years until someone with a gallery allowed us to come in, and we operated out of that gallery for about 6 years. And fast forward to now, I am a part of the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club, which is an online as well as a in real life, as they like to say, group of well over 3,000 artists located from all over Detroit, and it gives a platform for artists at every stage in their career. But stylistically, what my art loosely is based on is the technique called decoupage, which is it harkens back to the name of the group that I started called Poor Man's Art Collective, because decoupage historically was considered the poor man's art, because they were not able to go out and buy art which was considered to be expensive at the time. So what they did is they cut out images and shapes and affixed them to flat surfaces. So what I did, instead of surfaces and furniture of that nature, I would put it on pieces to try to create images or wall hangings, and that is the basis of my art. Like this piece here, which is called Ascended Spirits, it is a reflection of what I like to call my dream state. I woke up, had a dream about what they like to call biblically rapture, spirits going up to heaven. This is representative of that for me. A lot of my pieces utilize very deeply saturated color in its representations. I never sit down with a particular idea as to what art will be. It just occurs. And as I'm stepping away and getting back to it and stepping away, an image starts to form, or the impression that I get from the image as it comes away. And uh, that's how I come up with the names of the work. Again, each image that you will see is created from a handmade paper. It is called Lokta, Lokta. It is a Japanese handmade and hand-dyed paper, which, to the surprise of a lot of people who look at it, initially they think that it is paint, but it is not. The paper, the image that you see, is created with this paper, which is heavily dyed. And the technique on all of the images that you'll see it is what I like to call the bleeding effect, if you will, because in these images that you see here, the black heavily dyed paper is the base, and the brightly colored paper, which is laid on top, through the process is allowed to bleed through the color to give it some depth and to give it some aging to it, which an artist friend of mine, his name is Nathan Spratt. He's an excellent artist, and looking at his work, the images he creates are brand new, but he gives it a very aged look, like the picture has just been here forever, but he's just creating it. And I wanted to emulate that in my artwork, giving it that feel like it had been here all the while. I'm just creating it. The piece that you'll see next to it is called Deconstructed. It is, I find myself a lot of times when I create stuff, what happens is I start to see facial images. And I can only harken that back to doing some research. I was just researching ideas to create images, and I came across Easter Island. And the statuaries that are on Easter Island, they are called moai. Those are the individual pillars that you see on Easter Island. And I don't know, psychologically, it stuck with me. In a lot of the images, you will see broken faces, where you may see a face in one position and move in another direction, you'll see another face. So a lot of the imagery that I create, somehow or another, it always ends up having a profile. The images that I like to create, because I use the bright colors, I like to call a contradiction of a lot of things that went on with me in my life. Like I said, I was suffering from kidney failure, and one would think that going through things like that, your art would reflect how you are actually feeling, but for some odd reason, a lot of my imagery came out to be bright and bold and joyful, and I think that is what I wanted to feel, and I was hoping to feel during that process in my life. Art saved me. It totally saved me, and I felt like I needed to share that with other artists who tend to work in obscurity. I am an advocate forever for the self-taught and emerging artists. The pandemic, however, allowed me the opportunity to really focus on myself a bit more. Up until recently, I would say probably 2 years, almost 2 years exactly, when the pandemic hit, I was scouted out to do a storefront in Birmingham. And you go through what you go through as an artist, and you create, and a lot of times you're never really paying attention to people paying attention to you. And somebody just out of the blue called me and said, we want you to put your art in our storefront during Pride Month. And I was like, wow, really? Just to know somebody was actually looking at my work, and it completely changed the trajectory of where I was going with my artwork. it was the best experience. Even setting up that display in Birmingham, the day that I was installing, I sold 2 of the pieces even before they got a chance to display. So the art has really affected me in such a way that it allows me to touch people, to tell my story, to contradict some of the bad things that had gone on in my life through the artwork. Because if you look at my work, you could probably never tell that some of this was created during a sad moment in my life. You would never get that feeling. But I know each piece, the emotion that I was going through upon its creation, but it came out so different, and the artwork, it really is a testament to sticking to what it is your passion is. I don't know where I would be without my art. Paper is such a very unique medium to work with. I laugh at myself because I say I can't paint a lick, and I don't know if it hadn't been for paper what I would be doing, but I'm glad that I'm doing paper in the way that I'm doing it, because the surprise and the joy for me comes when people walk up to it and they think that it is paint, and I tell them it's paper. It is, it's just like the light bulb and the fireworks and everything. And it's just a great feeling to know that even people who are in the know as far as being an artist are stumped, and they, wow, that it's paper. Yeah, it's paper, but it's my paint. I had a great opportunity several years ago. I was a part of the Detroit Biennial at Mona, Museum of New Art, and I got critiqued by a art critic from New York, Jerry Saltz. I was terrified, didn't know what the heck to take away from that. But I girded myself, and he gave me the critique, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but he thought that it was paint, and he's an art critic, and he could have said anything else, but when he didn't know that it was paper, that was the best feeling that I could ever have. And from there, I got scouted to be a part of what they call Art for Life Chicago, which happens every year. It is a arts foundation that does work in support of research for HIV/AIDS. I had been a part of that for 3 years in a row. I wasn't able to be a part of it last year, but I plan on getting back with it next year. It's a great event. Artists from all over the world are a part to lend support for research for HIV and AIDS. I did say before that I'm a part of Detroit's Fine Arts Breakfast Club, which is centered in Detroit, but it is for artists all over Michigan, no matter what level you are in your career. They meet weekly. You can look it up online, submit your work, and then come on down and be a part of that. I am the director and founder of an organization called Poor Man's Art Collective, which is geared toward new, emerging, and self-taught artists as well. Just look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, we're there. And we do exhibitions all the time. We just came off of an exhibition at the gallery at Brewery Park with the gallerist Amanda Koss. She runs a program out of there looking for new artists on a monthly basis. Yeah, art is my life, and it is the way that I communicate to the world and other creative individuals like myself.